The spark, Operation Sindoor, ignites outrage. It began as a routine tourist visit, walking through Istanbul's Spice Bazaar, the warm air thick with cardamom and stories. But on the other side of the world, everything changed. In early May 2025, a deadly terrorist attack in Kashmir, the so-called Pahalgam attack, prompted India's military response, Operation Sindoor, striking militant camps across the border. Turkey reacted not with caution, but outrage. President Erdogan phoned Pakistan's Prime Minister, praised Islamabad's response as calm and restrained, and vowed continued support for our brotherly people of Pakistan. Even more startling, news outlets reported that Turkey sent attack drones to assist Pakistan against India. Instantly, this became a wildfire on social media. Indian citizens, especially travelers who had vacationed in Antalya and Cappadocia, felt betrayed. Boycott Turkey began trending as millions absorbed the news. A former Indian federal minister tweeted, "Every hardworking Indian who travels abroad knows today that our rupee should not be spent on those who help the enemies of our country." Ordinary people on Twitter and Facebook echoed the sentiment, "Why fund terrorism? Skip Turkey." Even abroad, Indian students and tourists in Turkey heard whispers of rising anger back home. What had started as military headlines on CNN turned into a popular uprising online. Travel forums filled with posts. "Cancelled my Istanbul trip. Who's with me?" Flights were previewed as potentially doomed before even taking off. The stage was set for a diplomatic storm. But would it stop at angry posts? Or was this the beginning of something much larger? Have you ever dreamed of strolling through a palace bazaar in Turkey, only to realize you become part of a geopolitical crisis? Hit like and subscribe if you're already on the edge of your seat. This is just the beginning. Diplomatic firestorm and media frenzy. Within days, the wave of outrage transformed into real action. Politicians, universities, and businesses jumped in as the boycott call went mainstream. Senior BJP leaders openly encouraged it. Bharatiya Janata Party member Rajiv Chandrasekhar bluntly asked, "Why should our rupee go to those who help our enemies?" Iconic billionaire Harsh Goenka took to social media to plead with Indians. "We gave Rs 4,000 plus crore to Turkey and Azerbaijan last year through tourism. Today, both stand with Pakistan after the Pahalgam attack. Plenty of beautiful places in India and the world. Please skip these two places. Jai Hind." Bollywood actors and CEOs added their voices. Singer Vishal Mishra even declared on social media, "No more Turkey or Azerbaijan trips, never." Indian universities reacted, citing national security. Jawaharlal Nehru University and Jamia Millia Islamia suspended ties with Turkish institutions. The Ministry of Civil Aviation abruptly revoked security clearance for Celebi Airport Services, a Turkish firm that ran ground handling at major Indian airports. On X, Twitter, India's aviation minister claimed he'd received calls nationwide to bar Celebi for protecting national interests. Celebi responded that the charges were unjust, but the ban left nearly 3,800 Indian employees in limbo, even government websites filled with suspended Turkish cooperation banners. Meanwhile, travel companies froze Turkey sales, major Indian booking platforms. Ease My Trip, Cox & Kings, and Ixigo halted new Turkey itineraries. Make My Trip pulled its Turkey deals and quietly replaced them with Greek and Balkan alternatives. News cameras found crowded Indian airport lounges where families stared at phone screens, debating whether to scrap their Antalya holidays. Anchors breathlessly reported spikes in cancellations. Official travel data confirmed it. Indian bookings to Turkey fell 60% in a week, while cancellations soared 250%. The media firestorm was relentless. On air and online, pundits warned of an all-out war of words between Delhi and Ankara. Twitter users posted photoshopped images of Turkey's flag with a skull, promising revenge. Even the sports world felt it. Indian badminton teams won't practice in Istanbul, and Bollywood shoots moved off Turkish sets. The story was everywhere. From marbles to apples, traders joined boycott, blared one headline. The question hung in the air as this avalanche of news rolled on. What would the Indian government do next? Tourism tsunami, Turkey's economy. On the edge, Turkey's economy was already shaky, but it had leaned on tourism to stay afloat. In 2024, over 330,000 Indians visited Turkey, the highest post-pandemic tally on record, pouring nearly Rs 3,000 crore into Turkish hotels, weddings, and flights. Global forecasters were bullish. Just weeks ago, the World Travel and Tourism Council projected Turkey's travel sector would generate a record L5.2 trillion, 12% of GDP in 2025. But now that dream was in doubt. The impact was swift. Travel executives reported a collapse in demand overnight. "We've seen bookings to Turkey plummet 60% week on week," said one Make My Trip spokesperson. Ease My Trip's CEO saw similar carnage. "We've seen a 22% rise in cancellations for Turkey. Nationalistic sentiment is running very high," he told the press. A travel agency owner in Delhi grimaced. Indian clients were afraid to even open their Turkey brochures, fearing online backlash. Tour operators quietly slashed prices to lure any reluctant customers. But the signs of trouble were stark. Airports normally bustling with Indian visitors fell eerily silent. Indian flight flags were suddenly nowhere to be seen. On Turkish streets, shopkeepers whispered about dead smartphone markets and empty resorts. Even Turkey's own datamen took notice. Last month, Azerbaijan announced that nearly 9% of its foreign arrivals were Indians, a figure about to get much smaller. Economists warned this could have real bite. Foreign tourist dollars are vital to Turkey's battered lira and government budgets. Every empty hotel room meant fewer jobs and less foreign currency. In Udaipur, India's marble capital, traders celebrated cutting imports of Turkish stone. 70% of India's marble had come from Turkey, they said, but now they'd build domestic supply chains instead. The Turkish fruit trade also chilled. Pune merchants noted zero demand for Turkish apples that used to bring in Rs 1,200 crore annually. As one travel insider put it, Turkey thought it could sacrifice India for Pakistan, but now their tourism industry is caught in the crossfire. Make My Trip's team even shut off promotions and advised, "In solidarity with our nation, advise against all non-essential travel to Turkey and Azerbaijan." In business lobbies, hoteliers worried openly. Could an entire source market dry up overnight? If Turkey lost even a fraction of those projected revenues, their fragile economy would feel the tremors. By this point, the story had turned on its head. In a matter of days, India's travel money and Turkey's travel dreams seemed to be drifting apart. Would this crisis sink the tourist boom entirely? If things couldn't get worse, think again. The real human impact was only beginning. If these numbers make your head spin, remember to hit like and subscribe. In survival situations, awareness is half the battle. Stranded and struggling. Real stories from Turkey. The abstract numbers soon had faces and names. Imagine, an Indian family in Antalya pulls out of line at a crowded buffet as a waiter whispers they've run out of kebab and bananas because the mall importing them from Turkey is empty. They glance at their phones for news. The same waiters and guides they chatted up hours ago now exchange worried glances. Jobs depend on Indians who aren't coming. Over in Cappadocia, tour guide Fatima cleans birdseed out of a garden while passengers skip her hot air balloon trip. She just sent her daughter to take her friend's flight to Delhi for university, but now she's unsure how family will visit. Guests keep asking if they should cancel their hotel. Managers scramble to offer refunds. Fatima wonders if Turkish Airlines will shrink routes if cancellations persist. Thousands of Turkish families rely directly on tourism incomes. Now sold-out signs are turning back in shop windows. In Anatolia, a small hotel switches to budget guests from Europe, yet their biggest spender last month was from Mumbai. In Istanbul's bazaars, stall owners say Indian tourists were among their best customers. One spice merchant laments, "I had to let go of my Hindi-speaking guide. We just have no calls from India." Even in New Delhi, stories surfaced. Dozens of students in universities like JNU were mid-exchange programs in Turkey when the ties were cut. One student reported, "Everything I worked for is on hold. Research projects with a Turkish lab gone. Suddenly I feel stuck." Similarly, the thousands of Indian patients who travel to Istanbul's clinics for affordable surgeries started worrying about continuity of care. Evacuation alert. Indians and Americans brace themselves. In Mumbai and New York alike, images of packed airport terminals now carry a new gravity. Families like the one above, queued at Delhi's Terminal 3 last week, are double-checking every detail of their trips. Could this happen to us? Is the question on many minds. In India, WhatsApp and Reddit threads are exploding. One traveler asked, "Got travel insurance? Do I add this as a covered reason or just cancel and try Greece? Business travelers are checking meetings in neighboring countries. Casual tourists scan news apps endlessly. The message is clear. India's situation is unique, but the lesson is universal. No destination is invincible, and it's not just Indians paying attention. American and European travelers, watching from afar, have started mentally flipping travel destinations off their lists. One U.S. couple preparing a Mediterranean cruise paused. We always thought Turkey was safe, now who knows? Popular travel blogs and forums have new trending topics. Pack lists for geopolitical chaos, how to handle sudden visa cancellations, travel insurance fine print if war breaks out. Even the U.S. State Department weighed in indirectly. It already had a long-standing caution for Turkey, exercise increased caution. But now travel advice sites highlight this sudden boycott story as a warning. Travel agents tell anxious clients, be flexible. Some Americans who had planned Turkey trips are moving them to Croatia or Jordan. One TikTok clip even humorously suggests, new Turkey? These hiking boots might come in handy, as a geographer points to the Caucasus on a world map. Flying out of Delhi this week felt different. Every traveler on those screens carried an emergency kit or a backup SIM, just in case. Nervous students in jeans checked visa eligibility for Thailand on their phones. Adventurers who prided themselves on intrepid journeys stopped to memorize emergency contacts and embassy numbers. After all, if India could turn on Turkey this fast, where might global tensions flare next? As one seasoned backpacker commented online, this India-Turkey saga is basically season 1 of a new reality show called Travel Survival. We should all learn from it. The question became, are you prepared if your friendly vacation spot suddenly becomes a danger zone? Global ripple effects and future predictions. India's boycott isn't an isolated hiccup. It's part of a broader trend. Politically, experts warn this could push Turkey closer to other neighbors. Press reports suggest Turkey may now pivot to Asia, courting Chinese and Gulf tourists to make up lost ground. Meanwhile, Indian analysts speculate that any middle power showing favor to our rivals might pay a price. A chilling message for future skirmishes. On the travel industry front, this is a red alert. The World Travel and Tourism Council had just forecasted a record year for Turkey, with tourism supporting over 3.3 million jobs, 10% of all employment, in 2025. If these mass cancellations hold, suddenly thousands of hoteliers, drivers, and tour guides could be out of work. Observers wonder, will Turkey retaliate with its own measures or quietly suffer the losses? As of now, Ankara has kept a low profile, but insiders say a response is being considered. Meanwhile, global travelers are taking notes. From the Americas to Africa, people are updating their travel checklists and insurance policies. Industry blogs suggest that destinations with stable diplomacy, think Sri Lanka or Vietnam, might see a mini-boom as anxious tourists shuffle plans. In Europe, some hotel chains are quietly investing more in India promotions, expecting late surges for the summer season. Greece's tourism board even spotted an uptick in inquiries labeled Turkey Alt. Travel insurance providers have reported a spike in policy upgrades after Indians posted on forums. Geopolitically, this episode could strain international ties. Turkey might seek new alliances to offset India's rebuke, perhaps with China's Belt and Road partners, or deeper engagements in the Middle East. India, energized by public support at home, may harden its stance on other foreign policies. The situation echoes how 2 decades ago global boycotts developed in similarly charged climates. One thing's certain, the age of truly carefree travel is over. Border disputes, ideological fights, and secret alliances all have the power to turn a blissful holiday into a survival saga. Fast. What happened between India and Turkey may foreshadow more flashpoints on the horizon. So what's next? Will Turkey mend fences with India before the season's over? Could a new flashpoint erupt elsewhere? We'll be watching closely. In fact, on this channel we're already preparing an upcoming video. When Paradise Falls, a travel disaster you won't believe. We'll dive into another gripping true story that could save your life on the road. Until then, stay alert, stay prepared, and stay safe. If this deep dive helped you understand the risks, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with your own survival tips. What's the one item you never travel without? Apart from your phone, of course. Let us know. Thanks for watching. And watch out for the next shocking chapter in our travel survival series. It's coming very soon.